Want to break down on some of the latest topics from college to the pros? We interview many individuals to share their knowledge about the news stories surrounding the teams and its players. This is Nothing But That Sports Talk. Welcome to Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafique Louison alongside Bailey.
Hello.
Yeah, back at it again with another episode as we recap everything going on in the sports world, and you see some crazy stuff that's happened during the first month and change of the NBA season.
It's crazy.
Like between Ben Simmons hitting three-pointers to the Suns actually in the top 8.
I know.
To the New York Knicks being the disasters as usual.
Yeah, you can always rely on them. You know, they're consistent. You can't say they're not consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do, like, especially that game yesterday, well, should I say that game against Indiana where Julius Randle had a chance to tie the game on a free throw and he botched it, but then again, he shoots 66%, which you expect.
Right.
The Knicks are just so bad. Yeah. They had like 2 great losses of at least 25 points or worse.
Yeah, I saw some, so I mean, they fired their coach, obviously, which...
Yeah,
I don't even know
so.
what...
That was too long overdue.
Yeah, but there's been some rumors that Becky Hammon from the Spurs could come in and take over, which personally I think would be really cool. She's like, I mean, Pop has really just taken her under his wing, and so I think it'd be really cool to see her do her own thing, and obviously she'd be the first female ever to be a head coach in the NBA, so I'm for that. I'm Team Becky to the Knicks.
I know you remember her playing for the New York Liberty.
Yeah.
What was that like for you watching them growing up?
So I didn't watch too much WNBA growing up, especially Liberty games, because they weren't really like televised. I'm from the West Coast, so they weren't really unless they were playing the Sparks or someone. I couldn't really like.
Oh, that's what WNBA app is for.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the app wasn't around when we were kids, or when I was a kid. But you know, I think that just having her like in the NBA and being such a big name, and being able to see the success she's had with the Spurs has been unbelievable, and that's why I think she's incredibly deserving. Even if she doesn't get the job, she deserves, I think, at the very least, to be to interview for the job, because who else? Maybe there's like a couple other guys who are worthy.
Jason Kidd.
Right, but to me, she's well qualified and she has the experience, and that's it. It shouldn't be a conversation of, oh, she's a female, which is great. Being a female, like I'm like, yeah, but you know, it should be how well she's qualified, and I think she's perfectly qualified.
Yeah, I know. The New York Knicks, they need something. They need anything.
Yeah.
Like,
why not?
It's just so disastrous to see the New York Knicks play the way they play.
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of like at this point, what do they have to lose? So like, why not?
A chance of the 2020 NBA draft and drafting this guy Cole Anthony and James Wiseman. I don't know, man. Like,
yeah,
it's too soon for Bronny James to be drafted. He's only played a year in high school, so I don't know what the Knicks are gonna do. Like, the first 20 years of the century, they're like the worst franchise in sports.
Yeah, but they I think they're valued as the highest valued team in the NBA still, which is it's like crazy. So imagine if they were winning. You know, like that's what's crazy to me is they're like arguably they've been like one of the worst teams in the NBA for how many years now? For as long as I can remember. But they're still like this insanely valuable franchise. So obviously the owner doesn't want to sell because it's a cash cow. You know, it's just going to keep making him money. Why would he sell it? But so I think that's why Becky Hammon is like the perfect opportunity, because it's like, what do you have to lose? You know?
Nothing.
Yeah, literally nothing.
But I would wait till the end of the season in order to get Becky Hammon to coach the New York Knicks, especially considering the fact that the Knicks. They're almost as bad as the Golden State Warriors. 3-2 record in the NBA Finals. All 3 of the wins coming against LeBron James, one of the greatest players in the NBA.
Yeah, it's crazy, and that's crazy. I mean, it just goes to show you injuries. It's so important for guys to stay healthy, and like that's why when I was interviewing Corey Maggette this summer, he was saying the best like power you can have in the NBA is availability. Right, and so he's like, that's why one of the reasons why LeBron is so valuable is because, like, I can't remember LeBron being out for extended periods of time ever, because he hasn't been. Like, he's been able to keep himself healthy, and that just like speaks volumes. And look how valuable he is. Obviously, he's like physically gifted and insanely talented, but
he's healthy and he's paired up with the right players, he makes the team great.
Right. So that's
he made the Cavaliers great. He made the Miami Heat great. He made the Lakers great, even though they did miss the playoffs last year, but injuries and the type of players he was around last year. But you know what? You gotta admire everything that the guy has done throughout this decade.
It just speaks for itself. He's
3-6 in the finals, but those 3 wins aren't just 3 wins. Those are 3 championship rings. And I keep telling people this, the reason why these teams, the Miami Heat, the Cavaliers, and now the Lakers going into 2020 are going to be great because it's LeBron James.
You can never count him out. If he's on a team, don't ever count that team out. That's what I've learned in my life. Like, if there's, I've learned a lot of stuff, but top 5, never count a team with LeBron James on it out of anything.
Yeah, about that. Now, we think it's going to be the toughest competition for the Lakers. I mean, I know it's only like a month to change into the season, but you got the Lakers, number 1, having to compete with teams like the Clippers, the Houston Rockets, and let's see, I might forget anybody. Oh yeah, the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns. Like, which one of those teams you think will give the Lakers with LeBron and AD a run for their money?
I think that regular season will be different than playoffs. Like, I think the Suns could definitely give them a run for their money regular season, but I don't think that the Suns come playoffs because they're so young. Like, they're 22, 23. Like, Devin Booker's 23, I think. So it's like they haven't had that playoff experience yet that I think that they could give a team with Rondo, LeBron, AD, Dwight Howard, all these guys who have like extensive playoff resumes. Like, I don't think that Devin Booker and Kelly Oubre and all those guys could give them a serious run for their money. But in the regular season, heck yeah. The Clippers. That has to be like my number 1 answer, who I think could give the Lakers a real run for their money because, Kawhi and Paul George, do I need to say anything else?
They know how to come through in the clutch when they're playing together. Even though they beat the Lakers in that one game in the season opener, that was one of the most games to watch during the first week of the season.
Right. And they have Doc Rivers is a great coach. So it's like, to me, the 3 minds of Kawhi, Paul George, and Doc Rivers is their basketball knowledge is insane.
You would never guess that the Clippers can pull off what they pulled off in the offseason, from one of the greatest come-to-mind wins in the NBA playoff game to adding PG-13 and Kawhi Leonard. This is one of the greatest years you'll ever see in Clippers franchise history. Now,
absolutely.
If that can only lead to at least a conference finals appearance, that's something that might not take too long to happen.
No.
Even though they couldn't make it happen when they had to do a Chris Paul and Blake Griffin.
Right. Well, I think you look at Kawhi, obviously there's different players on the Raptors team that he was on last season, but everyone was like, oh, it'll take Kawhi some time to adjust, to get used to Toronto's playing style. But he took them to the finals his first year there, and they won. So it's like, to me, I sound like a broken record. It's like, never count a team with LeBron on it out of anything. Never count a team with Kawhi on it out of anything.
Yeah, no, Kawhi Leonard is just he's literally underrated.
Yeah.
One of the most underrated players you ever see. From that finals run in 2014 to what he did in 2019, earlier this year.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Kawhi Leonard you can't really count him out, as you always say. Now, why don't we get on to the Eastern Conference, like the Brooklyn Nets? I see you had a chance to do some Brooklyn Nets work, or should I say Long Island's Nets work, not too long ago. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so they just, I had gotten connected to their GM and some people in their front office. So they had me out for a game, and it was an interesting, I'd never been to a G League game before. It was a really interesting experience just to see. I think I got to the arena at 2 and then stayed until 10 p.m. So I could see how they got set up for the game, what was going on in the front office before the game and stuff like that. So it was really awesome to see. And again, like you're seeing still really high level basketball being played there. And it was also really cool because they were playing the Santa Cruz Warriors, which is the Golden State Warriors G League franchise. And so Jeremy Pargo was on the team, and he was on the team I followed this season with the Big Three. So it's cool to like see him doing his thing in the G League. And I'm pretty sure he was the leading scorer for the game, at least at the first half. But he was like, I think the best player on the floor, in my unbiased opinion. But yeah, it was really interesting just the different style of play that goes on in the G League as opposed to the NBA. It's a little bit less of a team play because everyone's like, right, you're fighting for your chance to make it to the NBA. Like every single guy that was on that court wanted to be in the NBA. So there is a little bit of selfishness that goes on. I guess it happens too on NBA courts, but just in a different way.
Yeah, it's almost like when you're playing the rec center in NBA 2K20, everybody wants to play for their own stats. They don't want to play together. It's something like that, and that could be pretty annoying. Learn how to play along with the players you're playing with. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. So it was interesting, but I mean you can't blame those guys. Like they're fighting for.
They're trying to get like Theo Pinson.
Right.
You remember Theo Pinson, and I know you kept up with what the Long Island Nets did, which is a runner-up appearance in the G League Finals against the Houston Rockets affiliates.
Yeah, that was last season, but this year they're definitely not off to a great start. But hey, like you have your years that are great, and then you have off years. So it's interesting. And then the Nets NBA franchise, had a really interesting off season.
Yeah, picking up Kyrie and KD, even though KD is going to be out for the season.
Right.
But you know what? I like the direction that the Brooklyn Nets are going.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? It's just something that came into my mind these past few weeks. Are the Nets wrong for picking up Kyrie Irving? Because, let's face it, they have a losing record when this guy was playing, but they're playing better without him when he was benched.
Yeah.
Granted, you were playing against sub-500 teams at home games, and all three of those losses did come against elite NBA teams like the Boston Celtics, the Pacers, and they choked to the Miami Heat. But let's not forget, even without Kyrie Irving, they proven they can hold their own and defeat the teams they're supposed to defeat.
Right, and that's something that it's early in the season, so that's one thing that it's hard to kind of see through and sift through. I kind of feel like we have to wait for KD to get back because that was part of the reason that Kyrie came in is because he knew he was going to be playing along Kevin Durant, which is Kevin Durant, like obviously a great player. So I think to see if it was worth bringing in Kyrie, you have to wait till KD gets back, which won't be till next year. But again, Kyrie is someone who's so talented. Like he's just talented physically, and he's a smart player. So I don't think it's ever bad to have a smart player. Now, there has been some rumors swirling about what's going on with him off the court. I'm not familiar with the situation enough to comment. I don't know. I don't have insider information on that. So it would just be right. So it would just be me recirculating those rumors, which I don't want to do. But I mean, it's hard when you bring in a star player like that. Kyrie has kind of had a really interesting NBA tenure, and it's interesting just to hear the stuff that comes up, and you don't know if it's true or if it's not true. The only person who really knows if it's true is Kyrie and the Nets organization, and how they choose to work that out, that's up to them. And I think they'll at least give it till the end of next season because I think they want Kyrie and KD to play together. I mean, who doesn't?
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
KD's only going to be out until the end of next year, towards the end of next year. And you know what? I'd rather have KD play at 70% than him not playing a game for the Brooklyn Nets.
The hard thing with that is then you get into the whole Kawhi situation. What happened in San Antonio is, Kawhi was like, I'm not okay enough to play. Well, the trainers are like, yeah, you are. And so then you get this whole miscommunication where it's who knows, to me, if you ask me if like I hurt my ankle, it's not that important because I'm not an NBA player. I'm not that athletic. No one really cares. But it's like no one knows my body better than me. So like no one knows Kawhi Leonard's body better than Kawhi Leonard. Well, when the trainers are going saying like, oh no, he's cleared to play, you get into the whole thing is like, do you take Kawhi at 70% and risk him getting injured further because he's a little weaker, or do you just sit him for longer? You know, it's an and like that's a by team basis. Like each team has to figure out what's best for them. But then you could run into a situation like Kawhi where he's like, I don't like being treated like this. I only want to play at 100%. I'm going to leave.
Exactly.
You know? So you also don't want that to happen with KD. Not saying it will, but, you know, it is a possibility.
Now the only question is, assuming that the playoffs started today, do you think Brooklyn will have a chance to win at least the first round against any of the elite teams in the Eastern Conference? I know for a fact that Milwaukee, they're definitely not going to take them out.
No.
Look at how tough the Milwaukee Bucks have been. They're on a winning streak right now. Oh, man. They even beat the Los Angeles Clippers.
I mean, Giannis is so
Giannis is the
great.
new LeBron James. He's just too godly when it comes to the plays that he puts up on the court.
Yeah. It's insane. Like, sometimes you watch him and you're like, how? He makes it look easy, but then when you actually, like, take a second and think about it, you're just like, how did he just do that, you know? So, I mean, I wish I could do half the stuff he could do, but...
Imagine if he never blew that series against the Toronto Raptors. He might have had a championship right now.
Yeah.
Because he also proved that he could compete with the Golden State Warriors.
Absolutely.
Especially when they had that one game 3 years ago where they ended the Golden State Warriors' hot start.
Oh, yeah.
What was it, route to their 73-9 season when they were runner-up in the 2016 finals. But focusing on the present, the Bucks are just too serious about winning a championship.
Yeah, and I think that...
And they might even give LeBron James' Lakers enough for the money.
I think that the loss against Toronto was actually maybe good for them. Like, looking back on it, I don't know if, like, any of the players would agree with me because who likes losing? But sometimes I think you can learn more from a loss than you can from a win. So I think, I mean, Giannis is so young still, so I think he got to feel that loss, and, like, obviously he doesn't want to feel that ever again. So sometimes that can even fuel these guys so much more. So I think going forward, it could have been the best thing to happen to him because it's such a learning experience. And that franchise is so young. And Giannis is like, 23? Something like that. So
literally 23 years old.
You know, he has so much longer. He has so many more years that he's going to be able to play to fight for a championship. So I think sometimes it's good to lose early on. If you have to, and so that you never have to feel that feeling again, you know?
Yeah, but you know what? LeBron was at least that old when he had his first NBA Finals appearance.
Yeah.
Or around that age.
It's so crazy.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis Antetokounmpo becomes a player of the decade in the 2020s.
I could see it.
And
definitely in the top 3. Well, I'll put him in the
Westbrook,
top 3.
And this John Morant, all those players, they're up-and-coming young stars.
Yeah.
Too up-and-coming. It's just something you can't really sleep on.
No, definitely not. Ja is awesome to watch. He's so entertaining. And I think that he was just what a great draft pick. You know, he seems like a great guy off the court. And obviously he's incredibly talented on the court. And I think, you know, what else could a franchise want? It's, you know, it's the lottery, literally. So. Yeah.
But what do you think is one of the best games that you watched this season?
Oh, my God. There are so many games, but I look at it in weird ways because I look at it as what games teach you the biggest lessons. So, and the one that just came to my head most recently is the Suns game, I think it was last night, where Devin Booker missed 5 free throws. And then what he said after the game was he was like, it's very unlike him to like miss free throws. It's very unlike most NBA guards to miss that many free throws. And so I think that was an awesome learning experience for that young team. Because I know after the game he was saying, you know, I can't miss that many free throws from now on. I can't try not to miss any free throws, obviously, because then teammates start missing free throws. So I think that while it probably wasn't the best game I've watched, even though it was a really close game and that ended up being the difference in the game, I think it's awesome to watch a game where you can see a team learn a lesson, especially a young team.
Yeah, you want to know a young team that should really learn a lesson? The Charlotte Hornets. Because the one game that's been in my mind, how Charlotte blew a 5-point lead in less than 2 seconds. In like less than 5, 6. Oh, man. It's just Zach LaVine really pulled through. And I'm going to say it in Stacey K terms. Stop it, Zach LaVine! Stop it! Stop it, man!
Yeah, that was... You hate to see that happen, You really do.
Oh, man.
To any team, because that's one of those ones where all the fans left too, and then they ended up losing. So you're just like, that's why you gotta stay to the end.
It's like, it's incredible. I don't even know what's incredible. The fact that Charlotte blew that game, or the fact that 2 Chicago Bull players went Reggie Miller on them.
I was just gonna say, there you go. It's like forever that will be considered pulling a Reggie Miller, right? But as a basketball fan, just as a whole, as an NBA fan, it's incredible to watch something like that happen, because you're like, oh my God. If you're a Hornets fan, it's horrible. It sucks.
Yeah, and we're talking about a battle between 2 rebuilding teams.
Right.
It's funny because Charlotte had a lot of good moments, but they've had a lot of bad moments in late game situations, and that was one of those bad moments in late game situations.
Yeah, but it's, hey, I've been saying it a lot, but it's one of those learning moments for those young teams that, it sucks to go through, but you just got to go through it sometimes.
You got to go through it on time in order to make progression in the NBA. Now, I want to get to another story because you mentioned Devin Booker. You talked about the Phoenix Suns a little bit in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to reflect on your little story that you did about the Phoenix Suns and that a few years ago when you was working for Arizona PBS.
Yeah, so I, this was last year, I guess? It was 2018, or maybe it was 2019. I don't remember. And they have this girl, her name's Jenna Warren. She has Down syndrome, but she is their biggest fan. She's at every home game. She goes early to watch shoot around with the players, and so she'll sit in the courtside seats, and she just started, she's very into it, so she would be like, oh, good job, Devin, when he would make a shot and shoot around, and whoever else was on the team at the time where she first started doing this. Well, Devin started noticing that this girl was at every single home shoot around. So he went up to her, and basically, as they say, the rest is history. They've been good friends ever since. Jenna's Instagram is basically dedicated to Devin. Before every home game, she will go to shoot around and ask him a question about, what's your favorite restaurant in New York? What did you eat before this? What did you dress up as for Halloween? And their friendship has just really blossomed. And so it was awesome to just get to see that in person. So I did a story on her really as a person. NBA TV actually did a story on their friendship, but I decided to focus mine a little bit more on Jenna and who she is as a person. So I went to, she has endless energy, she's an Energizer bunny. I went to her Zumba class with her at the gym and filmed that, and went to a Suns game with her, went to her house to interview her mom and her, asked Devin some questions about her. So it was really one of those stories. It's just the ultimate feel-good story and the ultimate inspirational story, because Jenna truly does light up everyone she's around. So it was really cool to see her walk into a room and people just become people just want to be around her. She has that energy. And it was it was awesome to be a part of it. And I got to build my own friendship with Jenna, and we're still friends. That story actually got nominated for a Rocky Mountain Emmy in Arizona, and so I took her as my date to the ceremony just a couple of months ago. So it was really fun to just get to hang out with her and see her and stuff like that. So she's just an awesome,
incredible
young woman. Yeah.
That's just one of those stories that can really uplift an unbecoming journalist.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
And yeah, there's just a lot going on in the NBA, and there's a lot of NBA-related stories between Fizdale being fired, the Suns potentially being a playoff team, Sacramento hanging around the playoffs. It's just pretty much anybody can make it, but anybody can miss it. Now, I want to end it, but before we let you go, I want you to focus on something else, the NBA Christmas Day games, because it's highlighted by the Milwaukee Bucks and the Sixers and the Lakers and the Clippers. Like, which Christmas Day matchup are you looking forward to the most if you ever get a chance to watch it?
I'm actually going to the Clipper game on the 28th. So, like, I'm missing the Christmas Day game, but I'll be at the Clipper game on the 28th. I think I'm more excited, or if I had to buy tickets to a game, I think I'd go Clippers-Lakers. Because, I mean, LeBron, like, the other day I was looking at that picture that came out on Instagram of the Lakers on their plane. And I looked at it and I'm going, like, how does a team have Rondo, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, like so many big name guys. And then you have the Clippers too, who have Kawhi, Paul George. Like that's why I would purely as a basketball junkie just want to see all those guys play. And I think it would, I mean, come on, like the game's probably going to be very close. So on top of all those big name guys, you get probably a pretty good game on top of that. So, and I'm a Southern California native, so. I
was just going to say, as a California native, I know that's one of those games you look forward to covering.
Yeah, it's
So what publication are you covering it for?
Oh, I'm actually not covering it. I'm going just with my family for some family bonding. So, yeah.
It would have been nice to cover a Clipper game, though. That's the reason why I'm bringing it up. I mean, I don't mean to say too much of your personal business, but
no, it's fine.
It would have been nice to actually get an NBA rep into your resume, like you did with the Phoenix Suns game.
Yeah.
Because the closest I ever got to covering an NBA-related event or a basketball-related event in the actual arena is the Big Three last year. It's just a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that'll be a great game, Lakers Clippers, and I always say I wish that Steve Ballmer, if you're listening, I wish that the Clippers would come back to San Diego. It's where they started. I know it's probably never going to happen, but one can dream, right?
Yeah, LA has like two different sports franchises where two NFL teams and two NBA teams both play in LA.
Yeah, and then you,
talk about replication.
Baseball too, and hockey if you count Anaheim. If you count the Ducks and the Kings, two there, and so.
Yeah, I don't know.
They have their thing figured out, but.
Just like the New York teams, you have like two New York teams playing in the tri-state area. Well, three if you count the Buffalo Bills.
Right.
They play in the state of New York.
Yeah.
But they're not considered a New York team. Right. You really need to consider them a New York team, literally. We come to the end of this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafique Louison alongside Bailey. Thank you for stopping by again.
Thanks for having me.
I can't wait to interview you once more time in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I can't wait to hear more stories that you cover and what goes on in your progression in the journalism field. And to all the big ballers out there, consider the game.